Hey everyone, John here from Cast and Spear, and today we have back on the podcast Johnny Harvill, who's going to talk to you about why small batch homemade lures are better than the store-bought ones. And how does he know? Well, he's been making them for decades at this point. He has tried every combination, has been selling a whole bunch. They're very popular down in Alabama, and they're actually exclusively now sold on our new shop. Yep, we have a new shop for Cast and Spear. It's shop.castandspear.com. So if you're interested in picking up a bag of the lures that he talks about in this podcast, definitely do so. And without further ado, welcome back, Johnny Harvill.
We have actually developed our own line of soft plastic lures. Right now we have three styles: Senkos, paddle tails, and 3-inch grubs. We plan to be adding several more molds so we can sort of widen our variety in the very near future. Most people think the process to making these lures is easy, but it definitely is not. There's a fine line. For example, when heating the plastic to the correct temperature, there is only a couple of degrees difference that you have to stay within to make a quality lure. And then before heating the plastic, the color has to be exactly right. You have to add the glitter, and then the secret sauce. That's probably our number one secret weapon. It's actually an attractant that I've developed. We have two versions of it now, and it really works. It works well for catfish as well as bass. We have actually caught gar with it. Just about anything will go after it. We add it to the plastic mixture, or we can leave it out. We're going to make a couple of different varieties of that, but when it's added to the plastic, then you kind of have a built-in fish attractant. We also make the sauce separate from the lures so that it can be applied to a bait as needed, and we will be offering that as well. We add salt to our mixture. A lot of people don't realize that salt actually makes a lure sink better. So if you got a soft plastic, the more salt that you add to it actually affects the sink rate of it. Less salt will make it sink at a slower rate. So we plan to put on our packaging what style, as in if it's a fast sinking lure or one that kind of just descends at a slower rate. The way we make our lures is after we get the plastic mixed with the color and the glitter and the attractant, then the mixture is heated and poured into the molds. This can be a very temperamental process in itself because you have to make sure that there are no air bubbles. That can actually ruin the lure. It can make it weak in places, or it can cause air bubbles when it dries. After a few minutes, the lures can be removed from the molds. It only takes 2 to 3 minutes for them to actually cool to the point that you can remove them. Then they go into the bags with something we call worm oil. This keeps them from drying out and actually keeps them fresh. These lures are tougher than a lot that you find in the stores and online because they're not mass produced. We make them a few batches at the time so we can have better control over our plastic and hardeners and chemicals that are put into the plastics. We have our own process, so we spend more time on the lures. The way we mix our plastic makes the lures stronger with the hardeners and the things that we add, but it still gives an extremely lifelike presentation and a natural presentation. It's a good idea to keep your soft plastics in a bag, and especially in the worm oil, and not just loose in your tackle box. There's actually chemicals in a plastic tackle box that can react when they touch the soft plastics, or when the soft plastics is laid into a divider in the tackle box, for example, that can actually cause your soft plastic lures to start to melt. They can actually mold to your tackle box. I'm sure at some point everybody's had that happen. They might think that they've left their tackle box in the sun too long and their soft plastics start melting, but that's not the case. It's a chemical reaction that's caused by the plastic that the tackle box is made out of.
Well, that does it for this episode of the podcast. I hope you learned a thing or two about how soft baits are made. As a thank you, if you sign up for our newsletter at castspear.com, we'll give you a special promo code that's buy one, get one free of Johnny's lures that he was talking about. So that's really cool. And our next guest for the podcast is going to be Steve Wozniak. No, not the Apple founder, but the number 4 world record holder, according to IGFA. This guy is legit. It's super cool. We had a great conversation, and his episodes will be coming out once a day starting tomorrow. Well, I hope you're as excited as I am. Keep those lines tight, everyone. See ya.